Well, Lunatics, we're live today with a very different style of hotlou happy hour. I am pretty excited about this, but last week I had a massage from my good friend Laura, who I've been going to see kind of on and off now for at least 10 years. Although, as I talked to her, I realized that she has been in the massage industry and has been a certified massage therapist now for 16 years. And I thought her situation was pretty unique given the circumstances uh, around pretty much all of the kind of healthcare industry, and that Laura happens to be incredibly informed and has a ton of great unique perspective, both in how it's impacted her, how it will impact her um, clients, as well as her family, along with a handful of other things. So she was kind of joking after the massage I got last week that she should be on the show, and I said, "What? How do you feel about actually doing the show while giving me a massage?" And she said that would be great. And originally we thought about doing it live, but it was hard to do the logistics, to be honest, without appearing nude on Facebook. So you're about to get the rawest hotlou happy hour in history, which I'm excited about. But I don't. There's some mild nudity, but nothing that would, I think, classify getting canceled by Facebook or anything else. But so we recorded this last night, and we're gonna try to switch over here to the recording here in a moment. And I'm gonna talk to Laura about all kinds of things. Uh, Really, a lot about, I think, the science and biology that she understands in terms of how she offers her services, um, and then just talk about it in general and how healthcare providers like herself have been impacted. And of course, former episodes of hotlou happy hour, I had guests including Dr. Brian Laskin to talking about these sort of things. But I think some people would be really interested in understanding a handful of the, I think, steps that Laura and other providers like her have had to deal with in the past, and how current changes are impacting them to hopefully, make a handful of you lunatics out there um, that may want, might be feeling uneasy about going to see somebody like a massage therapist. And thank you, loyal lunatic Jerry Lean, for asking, am I going to see something I may not be able to unsee? I'll tell you that we did a pretty good job framing it so that I don't think any of the lunatics are going to be offended. But you're going to see me partially shirtless here at some point. But it's also dimly lit. So it's not exactly, you're I wouldn't even consider what you're about to see as PG-13. I'm pretty sure if the censors were behind it, this would fall very squarely under the PG rating. So you're not about to see anything crazy, but you are about to get into some anatomy and some biology related to the value of massage. And by anatomy, we're not going to be pointing out parts or anything like that. We're just going to be talking about them. But hopefully you'll be able to really enjoy this. And hopefully the audio comes through clearly and everything. But I'm pretty excited for the weirdest hotlou happy hour. And I know I say that a lot, but we're trying really hard to push the limits on what's possible here on Facebook. So without further ado, the rest of the show here will be a recording. I'll still be tuning into all of the comments and watching, and maybe throw out a poll or two in the midst of all of this. But From here on out, enjoy the rest of hotlou Happy Hour featuring an interview with certified massage therapist Laura Sanchez, while I actually get a massage for the next hour. Thanks, lunatics.
All right, here we go.
I know, right? I was gonna say, oh, is that too dark? That's too dark.
That's probably fine.
You sure?
Yep.
It's all the way?
Maybe halfway.
Halfway.
We'll see what the lunatics have to say about this whole thing. I don't know, and I have no idea what Zuckerberg's gonna do. I don't know if this qualifies as nudity or not. I mean, I am wearing underwear, lunatics. Just so everybody knows.
Me too.
And as is Laura. Terrific. So, I think it's time to introduce the show. That's Laura Sanchez. Some people in the Minnesota Ultimate community know her as LB. I'm having a massage today, and I wanted to talk a little bit about being a massage therapist in the age of the COVID winter. So we're gonna, Laura's gonna give me a massage. She's gonna beat me up a little bit because she, all like 5'1" of her doesn't look like it, but she'll beat me up, which I enjoy. And just kind of talk about safety. So this is going to be the most unique hotlou Happy Hour, as I discussed. It's going to be the rawest hotlou Happy Hour.
Yeah, it's too bad that we're not taking call-ins right now, where people can be like, "Hey, put your elbow in his jugular," you know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Are there therapeutic benefits to knocking me out like that?
I mean, yeah, then you probably wouldn't be fighting me back.
Yeah, that's true. Oh man, I'm already fighting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, that happens.
Yeah. So I've been getting massages from Laura for more than 10 years. Is that right?
Oh, probably. Yeah, I've been doing this 16 years.
Yeah. So a couple things I love about Laura. One, she can I call you a former Ultimate player?
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically like Dunzo.
Yeah. So she's pretty familiar with Ultimate, and obviously familiar with what I'm looking for out of a massage. And I'd say 9 out of 10 massages that I get from you are the wreck me, leave me like sweating and in a lot of pain for probably 40 minutes of the massage, and not like the relaxation, meditation type of massage. And that's what I like, because Laura, I don't know if this is true for all massage therapists, but you seem to know your anatomy really well as it relates to sports. And I think you have a history of actually plenty of professional athletes among your clientele, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm in a unique position because in addition to my massage degree, I have a degree in kinesiology from the U of M. And so, with the study of human movement and just an extensive practice, with the human body and working on cadavers, it gave me a total leg up in the industry. And then, after so many years of doing this, I've had a lot of really great professional athletes come through my doors and love their treatments, and for the same reason, they want to get beat up for 45 minutes and near tears, and
Yeah.
but more importantly, they want to get back out on the field.
Yeah, I mean, there's been several instances where I showed up and I was like, look, I'm certain my hamstring is gonna tear like tomorrow at practice, or
Right.
I've got, I do my birthday lift, which I think some lunatics are pretty familiar with.
It's okay. I'm not a lunatic. I actually just find it really exciting. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Louie's birthday, which also means it's gonna be Christmas soon.
Yeah.
So it's like, here we go.
Yeah.
Let's see him lift this.
Yeah. And I
mean,
think
how many
I've done,
people tune in live to that, really?
it's interesting because, the first year that I did it, I think I got like somewhere around like 1,000 views. But I didn't do it live because I don't think Facebook had that option back then.
Mhm.
And but I think like the next year, the year after, when I did it live,
Mhm.
like the last time I looked, I think it was at like 2,500 or 3,000 views, and I think Facebook was making a huge push towards live at the time, so I think that one got a lot more views.
So it was actually like Zuckerberg and like half of his employees because they
Yeah.
just really want somebody to watch.
Yeah. But yeah, like I come in here, I think probably like 2 or 3 times before my birthday lift to just always kind of keep maintaining and make sure I don't get injured because for the lunatics who don't know, on my birthday I lift a deadlift of 10 times my age every year. And I started this in my early 30s. And I said I was going to
Which was a great idea 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And then I always said I was going to make it to 40, which is 400-pound deadlift. And of course, at that weight, you're running into like potential serious life-altering injuries. So making sure that I'm doing everything I can. Like, I mean, I spend a good 1 hour warming up before that, and then I'm coming in here and Laura will just lay into my hamstrings, which she might do today too.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
We'll give you a visual.
Yeah, exactly. And it, I think I've left the massage several times thinking I just made a huge mistake. I just endured an hour of intense pain where I describe it as like a 8 or a 9 on the pain scale sometimes. And like right to the edge of like I can't take this anymore. And then I leave not feeling better like right away. But I go from like having a tight hamstring for a week and going through this the next morning I feel like a brand new person.
Oh, there it is. For a second there I was like, Louis, stop talking.
Yeah.
The point is to get people to come in.
Yeah. And I don't know, is that a familiar description of what happens, or am I describing something that's relatively unique?
No, absolutely. I think there's a couple different things going on. First, we have our lymphatic system. We have the vessels that carry out all of the garbage and the waste that's in our tissues. Well, those guys get destroyed instantly from massage. They can only withstand the weight of a nickel. So when you have these vessels, it takes them about 2.5 days to repair themselves. So a lot of times you'll feel swollen that first day after.
Yeah.
That's that gunky you feel. And then as the lymphatic system starts to kick in and truly take over, it flushes all that garbage out. It also helps that you're drinking tons of water afterwards, but yeah, I mean, you're totally wrecked your muscles. It's just like a workout.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good description, is that I will frequently the next morning, it won't feel like I'm about to tear my hamstring anymore, but it'll feel like not even a bruise, but it's like that familiar bruise feeling, but instead of taking a week for the bruise to heal, or even like 2 or 3 days, it's gone like the day or day after.
Yeah, because that body because then, with your own personal movement, and drinking water, you're helping that system flush everything out faster and move it along. Like, the worst you could do is get a really deep tissue massage and then go take a nap. Like, I've had so many people call me the next day and be like, I feel awful. Like, I feel like I have the flu.
Oh, wow.
Just because all that stuff is pushed out of those stagnant areas in your muscles, and now they're in your system.
Yeah, so I mean, that kind of confirms a little bit about what I've heard about muscle flexibility, and what I've heard, and with your kinesiology degree, and hopefully you can shed some light on this, but that often flexibility it's not it's not a physical limitation, but instead, or it's partial physical limitation, but it's actually mostly neurological. So,
Mm.
and we see this with PNF stretching, right? Which
Do you know what that stands for?
I don't. Could you say? I knew once upon a time, but can you tell us?
Proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation.
So we'll definitely put that in the show notes. But
yes,
the that also confirms that and you can do this yourself, lunatics. If you're the type to make it to the gym and you do a little bit of stretching, the way that you can test this out, that it's more neurological than physical limitation. Uh, Hang on. Is you can stretch one of your muscles kind of to the max or right before you hit some sort of pain threshold with your stretch. And then if you can flex against the stretch, meaning let's say you're stretching your hamstrings by trying to touch your toes, but you're doing that by let's say somebody else is stretching your hamstrings. So you're laying flat on your back. You have your legs flat on the floor. You lift one leg up, and then you have somebody grab your leg, keep the leg straight, and then they push up on it so that you've got a hamstring stretch. Now they push it to kind of the limit, and then if you push against them for like 2 or 3 seconds and then relax, if that person pushes your leg again, the interesting thing is that you'll gain like 2 or 3 inches of extra flexibility that you didn't have 5 seconds earlier. So that's a nice way to confirm for you that it's more of a neurological limitation, that your body feels the stretch happening and then you immediately flex against it. And you're flexing quietly at the beginning, and then what you do by flexing really hard is, in a sense, you're training that neurological reflex to relax for a second and then get the stretch to go a little bit deeper. So the reason that I bring this up, and correct me if I got any of those details wrong, Laura?
that was a very good description.
Thanks. I haven't reviewed that in like 10 years.
So those little guys you're talking about are muscle spindles.
Okay.
Those are deep in the belly of the muscle. Those are the proprioceptors that stop the muscle before it tears. And yeah, those guys can go out of whack and overreact sometimes. And yeah, if you do stretches like that and you're retraining them to kind of open up and allow a little bit larger range of motion, then yes, you are going to train those guys to chill out a little bit. And then get the feedback that you're looking for. Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what I sense happens a little bit with this massage is you'll hit some really deep spots in my muscle that cause like it hurts, but it hits this spot that ordinarily doesn't get that kind of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't, you kind of override the neurological reflex to it. And then the next day, that kind of neurological reflex has relaxed a little bit. Mm-hmm. That neurological reflex to all of those little muscle fibers tearing as you exercise and work out and try to make gains, mm-hmm. You're helping kind of relax that a little bit. And it doesn't happen immediately, but if you get a really hard massage, then you drink a bunch of water, try to flush out all of the toxins or whatever is kind of binding.
Mm-hmm, that metabolic waste.
Yeah, binding that stuff in place, and you flush that out. The next morning you wake up and you feel like that soft version of that bruise, but the next day you don't feel that tightness that makes you think you're going to tear your hamstring the next time you hit a full sprint.
No, it's Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. I think a lot of it too is people think you go to a chiropractor and they're like, oh, you need to be coming 3 times a week for adjustments, or a massage therapist will be like, you need to come every 4 weeks and blah blah blah, and then you think it's this weird sales pitch, but a lot of these guys don't know how to hit it home and be like, well, hey, if you train for a marathon, you don't run 3 miles and then say, okay, we're good to go.
Yeah.
You have a plan. Well, massage and chiropractic falls under that. It has to have a plan if you're actually trying to have healthy tissues and be injury free. It has to go hand in hand with your training. So that's why you said you go 3 times before you you do your lift, your birthday lift. You don't just come once before you see me. You come like 2 or 3 times so we can actually hone in.
Yep.
And, just kind of make sure that when you go out there, for your optimal performance, you're there.
And I think, lunatics, you can test this yourself too with just like a foam roller or, a water bottle that you have at home. If you start like rolling out your muscles, if you don't do that regularly right now, it's probably painful with just a light amount of pressure.
Yeah.
But if you do it every day, in like a week, you're finding yourself putting like multiples more pressure with like almost next to no pain compared to what you had even a week ago.
Right.
And for a massage therapist who knows what they're doing, that might be an experience that you have, is that it could be like really rough the first 1 or 2 or 3 times, and then by the 4th, 5th, 6th, if you're maintaining, you feel better all of the time, and it's just a sign that you're like working out some of the things that either neurologically are keeping your muscles tense, or you're building up these like muscular toxins.
Yep, you're adapting to that work.
Yeah. Well, enough textbook time. We could put a bunch of stuff in the show notes.
Now that everybody's asleep.
Well, I wanted to get through that because I think Laura's going to put me in a little bit of pain here. And it might seem like, I don't know, I think most people get massages and they get them without any purpose other than relaxation, which has its own value. But I don't know that a lot of people get massages where it is like hard on you for a while, and that you can get a lot of benefit out of that by just enduring a few minutes and getting that out of that. But the other thing that I think is on people's minds right now is how do you operate a massage business right now safely in the midst of a pandemic?
Right.
So, I've got I'm wearing my mask. And I think Laura's still wearing hers, it sounds like.
I'm wearing my mask. My mask was handmade. It's got it's a pocketed mask. It actually has a shop filter on the inside. Statistically, it blocks 98% of anything coming in.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, super awesome. There's actually a woman, I'll do a shameless plug for her. She's Masks and Heroes. She's out in Las Vegas, and she actually did all my custom masks for me so I could go back to work safely.
Awesome.
She's actually donated probably close to 1,000 masks now to the healthcare workers in Las Vegas.
Awesome.
And then when she would actually have free time, she would take orders. So I wanted to support her business, and that's what I did. And I love my masks. They feel so good. And yeah, I'm wearing them, upwards of 10 to 12 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly.
It depends on, what I'm doing, but.
Yeah. So we'll put that Masks and Heroes.
Yeah.
We'll put that link in the show notes, but I wanna even back up a little bit further.
Sure.
So when I walked in, I walked up to the room, and the room was stripped clear, which you probably do maybe some version of that under normal circumstances.
Absolutely.
But you were going the extra mile, and can you talk about exactly what you went through to sanitize this room before I even got in here?
Yeah, well, when I first got here, I mean, I sanitized the front office part. So the
Oh,
actual
that's right.
waiting room.
And I've seen you do that too.
Yeah, so basically anything that you're going to touch or you could possibly touch gets sanitized. And regardless of, I know that I was the last person in and I always sanitize before I leave, I just redo it.
Yep.
You have to redo it. So any surfaces, doorknobs, chairs, things like that. This is such a small operating office that, it's not too difficult. It's not like we have to worry about social distancing. You and I are the only ones here. So,
Right.
there's that. And then as far as the room goes, I've always been pretty good about sanitizing, but now it's like all the extra things. Like, what could Louis touch before he walks in here? Or what am I gonna touch and sanitize it?
Right.
And let it sit and get really nice sanitation, so it's like it's gonna kill everything. Not 99%, everything.
Right.
So I do a lot of that beforehand. Like I have a fan in this room. I actually don't run the fan, like we just don't want extra airflow going through.
Oh, that's smart.
The sheets are washed in industrial washers, so they kills all the things.
Mm-hmm.
The massage cream that I use, and that it really hasn't changed either. I mean, that's a huge OSHA regulation, right? So there's a lot of OSHA regulations. I think one of the biggest things that's changed since before COVID is my mask.
Okay.
And then just being super extra with what's sanitized and where things go, and even pens. Like if you were to sign a check afterwards, it's like giving you a sanitized pen.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'll note that like what stood out to me as I watched you like wash the room is you were like getting all, not only the flat surfaces, but you were getting the sides of everything and kind of even underneath the table a little bit. And then I saw you even get the stools and the other surfaces that I might not even be like, that's where the camera and microphone are sitting right now.
Yeah.
But I have to imagine that that's like you're going in and you're like literally sanitizing every single surface before I even walk in.
The lamp
here.
switch.
Oh wow, yeah, that's amazing.
The door handles, the bathroom door handles if you needed to go, the front door handle.
Wow.
And then the sides. I mean, from what we know, it's just this COVID can live on a surface, and that's a little unnerving. And it's just like that's the best we can do. And like I said, these sheets were washed in like an industrial super hot wash.
Yeah.
And my masks are washed in a, I boil all of my masks.
Oh wow.
Yep. So, yeah, and actually, if you guys go to that link, Mask and Hero, she's amazing. Her name is Tracy, and Tracy does a really good job, too, of telling you how to handle your own mask, how to keep it clean, how not to touch it. I'm pretty sure I've touched it at least once trying to adjust it, but, so many people don't mishandle their things like that, and it's just like, if I have to keep this on for 6 hours, I can't contaminate it.
Right.
So it's pretty interesting, like how much goes into this to make sure that you can stay safe, but then the next person's safe too.
Yeah, and that was one of the other things that stood out to me that I didn't really consider is that you're in a tough position that I think everybody's already familiar with, like the mask warriors out there that want to preserve their freedom and they think that they have the freedom to go wherever they want.
Mm-hmm.
Even on private property, they don't understand the difference between that. But you're in a tough situation where, you couldn't work for how long?
I think I was furloughed March 16th, and then I started doing massage again June 9th.
Okay. So, and that was probably after you were cleared by the state to even...
Yeah, the state and that was a really interesting thing too. Massage therapists, if they were kind of coded under chiropractic and things like that, some of them were still working as essential workers.
Okay.
I was kind of working under the Board of Cosmetology, so I had to follow their mandate, and that was basically, they didn't open until June 1st, and they opened at 25% capacity, and then so on and so forth. But yeah, no, I mean, all my flights were grounded. It wasn't like I could just do whatever I wanted.
And now you're in a situation where, it's not a small amount of people who think they can just walk around with masks, and that, I mean, they're just delusional and think that a mask is somehow hurting them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably outliers where that's true, but there's so few where that is true.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize that you probably, like, this is your livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
And to make money, you need clients, and you probably have clients who say, I'm not wearing a mask. And how do you deal with that?
Well, it's easy for me because I'm super passive. So
okay.
it's easy for me to be like, well, it's a state law.
Yeah.
If you don't want to come in here and do a massage, you don't have to do it at this time.
Yep.
But unfortunately, I'm protecting all of my clients. And that runs true for so many things. If somebody's running 20 minutes late, it's like, yeah, I'm going to cut you off.
Yep.
And because I have another client coming in. And if you have the flu and you're coming in here puking, yeah, I'm going to cut you off.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to just say, look, this is the rule. And when you're ready to, if you want to wait until masks are not required, I can let you know when the state changes their law.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Well.
So that makes it really easy for me because I am just not a confrontational person.
Right. And you have the law backing you up on this thing.
Right.
So it's not a huge challenge for you to.
Right. And then we're in Minneapolis right now too. So that's the other thing is we also have, whatever it's called, as far as Mask Up Minneapolis or whatever the hashtag is that.
I don't know.
Yeah, Mayor Fry put together.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a regulation here. I know, right?
That's awesome. Well, that's great because, I think other people in your position might just say, like, the money is too important to me right now, and I'm just going to allow this to happen without a mask necessarily, or let this person bully me. But you have your other clients to consider, you have yourself.
Right. I mean, I have clients who are just finishing up radiation, and
oh, man. Yeah.
I have clients who have major heart conditions or whatever, and I have elderly who are terrified, who I've tried to talk off a cliff.
Right.
Personally on the phone for hours saying, no, it's okay, you can come in, and they're like, yeah, no.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And then there's other things too, like right now you're face down.
Yep.
That helps. You have a mask on, that helps. I'm going to have a mask on, I'll walk out.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things that really protect the air quality in these small rooms. But I do know there's massage therapists that are not offering extended periods of time. Like, they're not offering anything beyond 90 minutes. They're not.
Sure.
You're going to pay over the internet. You know what I mean? Like, just pay before you come, pay in your car on your way out.
Yeah.
Keep it minimal. Go to the bathroom before you come to your appointment.
Yeah.
Bring your own water bottle.
Oh, that's all good.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of things where it's just like, keep it minimal. And that's the other thing, is a lot of people love these appointments because they love to catch up and love to... And it's like, you know what? We can socially distance, outside on the patio or something.
Right.
Or we can chat another time.
Right.
Let's just get the work done.
Yep. Oh. Yeah, and where I was kind of going with that, too, is like, you're not just thinking about your livelihood, but you're also thinking about your family.
Yeah.
You're married. With kids.
Yeah.
Let's see, one of your own and a couple stepkids?
Yep, 3
right?
stepdaughters. And then Harper, my 5-year-old.
Yep.
And... Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a lot to consider, so it's not just as easy as saying, I need to make a quick buck here.
Well, and that's just it. And then it's like, have fun for your quick dollar, because if you do get COVID, then it's 14 days.
Yeah.
So is it the one massage for the 1 hour, or is it the 14 days quarantine? You pick.
Right.
And
or worse, I mean, even though you're young.
Right. Or I give
you
it to
know,
my family,
exactly.
and that's not good.
Right. And even being young doesn't mean that you're not going to have to endure a hospitalization or other things. Like it's it's probably not going to happen that way, but you
Right.
have to consider that, especially if you're going to be servicing other clients who have, they're getting massage as a maybe a part of their treatment or maybe an escape from
Right.
other things like that, from other underlying conditions. So
Right.
yeah. Oh,
Well, and that's, I mean, I love my people, so why I would feel
yeah.
terrible if I was the one that gave it to someone.
Right.
And I traditionally am, like, I don't show any symptoms when I'm sick usually. I haven't had a fever in like 20 years. So watch, I'm going to have a fever.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, I know I appreciate just like watching you kind of go through and clean everything up in here. Um,
Yeah, it feels good when I'm wearing a mask, doesn't it? Like, there's this reassuring, like...
yeah, and I mean, literally watching you wipe down every single surface in the whole like building here. um, oh yeah. Uh, all right, the interview's only gonna get harder and harder from here. Oh yeah.
Triceps.
Yep. And
Yeah, it's super important, and actually, even before COVID was even hit our continent, I mean, it was flu season, so
right.
I sanitize like crazy. I don't want to get sick. I
Right.
just don't.
Yeah, because it's not like you get sick days,
Right, and that's just it. I
Yeah.
make money when I work, and that's a
Yeah.
tough spot to be in. And like you said, I mean, there's some people who are like, oh, I can't really turn this massage down right now.
Right.
But you got to look at the big picture. You have to have a lot of faith. Actually, interesting fact, fun fact, of all the 16 years I've done this, my slowest time ever is during the election. So I'm
Interesting.
actually preparing more to be slow in November.
Oh wow.
Isn't that crazy? Especially when it's like...
Yeah. Do you have a theory on why that might be?
My only theory is that people are terrified that there's going to be a new leader or whatever, and people are just so glued to what's going to happen next. Like, everyone thinks that everything's going to change instantly, right?
Yeah.
So I have so many people who just, like, buckle down during the election.
Interesting.
And then they all come back, like, a month later, and it's like, yeah, because nothing really changed.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. So
I know.
Can you how do you categorize the people who are getting massages right now? Do you feel like they're, like even I come in, because I was here last week too, and I said, I'm not looking for the normal,
right,
kick my ass type massage. Let's tone it down a little bit.
Right.
And then I would fall under something more like relaxation or
sure,
gearing up towards.
Yeah, yours was more like recovery,
Yeah.
reassessment.
And how would you categorize the people who are getting massages right now? Is it like stress management? Is it like like me, I'm in the worst shape I've been in like 10 years thanks to the COVID. And how would you describe your clients right now?
Almost everyone that's come in so far, I have told them to do another massage within a week or two. Usually a lot of my people are on like a 4-week wellness plan, 4 to 6 weeks. And right now I have everybody coming in on a weekly basis just so we can kind of jumpstart the system.
Yep.
Get it opened up again. A huge part of my clientele now, it's not the Vikings anymore. It's mostly healthcare workers.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's what was really tough for me, during this whole COVID time, is it's like, I want to take care of my surgeons and my doctors and my people who are out there.
Right.
And, yeah, because I knew they would rely on me, sometimes on a weekly basis.
Right.
But, yeah, right now it's just kind of getting everybody back in the swing of things and...
Yeah. Oh, boy. Do you...
How you feeling?
I feel great.
Good.
So, maybe you don't want to throw your clients under the bus, but
Sure.
Are you getting an overall sense that people are not in as good a shape as they were?
Yeah, no, actually, what I'm getting, yes. So, yes. Because I'm getting a lot of people who are like, oh, I just hit the gym for the first time.
Yeah, I'll bet.
So, I'm getting everybody who's got that first, that first workout
Oh, yeah.
after a long time.
Yep.
And you just feel like garbage. And you feel like you're just like lifting broomsticks.
Yep.
And then you're so sore.
Yeah.
I'm getting that.
Interesting.
So, I'm getting a lot of like, okay, well, let's just help you recover fast from this one.
Yeah.
And then we'll get you back on the train.
Yeah.
That's where most of my people are, for real though.
Interesting.
But that's because the gym was closed. I mean, everyone I've worked on so far
and sports
has been
are
working. Help us!
I know.
Send help!
Yeah. So you know that I was kind of a very part-time player in the AUDL, the Pro Ultimate League, and the head coach of the Minnesota Windchill for a couple of years, and they just announced maybe today or maybe yesterday that they canceled their season for 2020, which is pretty sad. But it strikes me that might mean the end of Ultimate for 2022.
Right.
Because if they made that choice, and that one,
that's gonna trickle down.
It could, yeah, or at least influence decision in local or national kind of leadership type things. So, and I'm really dying to play sports again. It's
me too.
Kind of my biggest outlet.
And you're not the only one. I mean, that's the other thing is I've had so many people come in and they're like, I just want to be with another person.
Yeah.
Like I even had a client yesterday who like, I'm just so glad I get to talk to you. I have somebody because he comes to see me once a week.
Yeah.
And he's not my he's not a healthcare worker, but he has chronic pain, and that's so he relies on massage to help himself.
Yeah.
Those guys for 3 months. 3 months without that kind of care.
Oh man.
And it was rough, and he said, honestly, I'm glad I can hear your voice. He's like, I know this massage. And it was just like, oh man.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to be like part massage therapist and part like psychotherapist, right?
Right. Every day.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I felt like my psychotherapy session was last week.
Yeah, I mean, we can't repeat it.
No. But that was definitely my most psychotherapy session with you ever.
Right.
Oh.
But sometimes it just needs to come out, and then you're protected under HIPAA
Yep.
until today.
Until today.
Everything's out there.
Yep. I don't have to sign a waiver. I give the verbal waiver.
Yeah.
That everything here is going live to the internet.
I know. I'm just waiting for those call-ins.
Yeah. This could be what if Zuck walked into the room right now?
I mean, what if? What would you even say? Okay, what would you say?
I would say, I will never forget you insulting my palm pre.
Let it go.
No.
Let it go.
No, man.
Lou.
10 years, I will never, it's been 10 years already. 10 years from now, I'll still be upset. Ugh.
That's what you're mad about.
Yep. Oh no. Should we worry that this isn't recording?
I mean, it's green.
Oh no. It should still be recording. We're good. I think, that says 40 minutes, so I think we're good. I should have double checked there.
Well, I did, and then I was like, oh, I don't want to, tell him halfway through that it turned off.
No, I think we're good. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty, well, it's interesting to hear you say that there are, because I think people hear it quite a bit that, the joke is that people are putting on the COVID-19, like the freshman 15.
Right.
And although I haven't put on weight, I've lost muscle and added fat. And I know that because I do body measurements. And, so this is part of my get back into ultimate shape, although there's almost no chance there will be a
Wait,
master
get back
shape.
into handler shape or cutter shape?
Well, you need to understand that I only play downfield in the Grandmasters division. As a young guy in the division.
The young buck.
Yeah, because the division starts at 40 and up, and as a 41-year-old,
What? Say what?
with many teammates, and actually 2 of our teammates are Grandmasters eligible this year at 50 years old. So,
I think the first tournament we played in together was the Duluth tournament.
oh, interesting.
And I want to say, do you remember that where we
In
only...
winter or summer?
It was raining and it was college.
Okay.
And there was a point where we only did hammers. Do you remember this?
I don't.
I think it was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Not even gonna lie.
I mean, I consider myself to have a very good episodic memory, but Laura makes me look like a fool. I was here last week, and it was storming, and it was storming so bad there was standing water on the freeway on the way down here.
But that's how great I am. Is he would drive through
Yep.
a lake.
A good 20-minute drive with no traffic. And Laura texted me on the way over saying, this is crazy because, what did you say, 7 years ago?
7 years ago was the time that those torrential rains and winds took out all those trees.
And I couldn't really remember.
Because he didn't read the text until he pulled over, Mom.
Yeah. And then the next day, and I forgot to tell you this, but in my Facebook memories, I had a video of me driving through standing water on Hennepin Avenue.
Told you.
I think it was, you were right on, and you missed it by 1 day.
See? I said it was either today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm a nut.
Yeah. So, we'll try to track down that video too and put that in the show notes.
I know. God, that would be a good one. Oh, too bad you can't find that all hammer point. That was a good one too. That was right there on that peninsula.
Yeah, so that tournament now.
I think it was hosted by the Duluth U of M team. Yep.
Yep. And then, so that tournament, unfortunately, has been canceled this year, understandably. But you may not know this, but that tournament has turned into a memorial tournament for one of the Duluth players who died in a car accident a few years ago.
Didn't know that.
And I have to say, it's an incredible inspiration for me because, one moment, lunatics. So, the name of the player who died in the accident, his name was Tim Stevenson, but he went by Little Tim, or L. Almost everybody called him LT.
I'm gonna say LT.
Yep. And he was a passenger in the car, and the driver was drunk. And I don't know many of the other details other than the drunk driving was the primary cause of the accident, which shouldn't surprise anybody. And the LT's parents come to the memorial tournament every year, and they don't say it every year, but they've said it frequently, that, and this was in the paper at the time, they actually testified at the sentencing of the drunk driver who lived, begging for the judge to exercise leniency on him and expressing forgiveness.
Wow.
Which I can't imagine the amount of personal growth that somebody must have had to go through to lose their amazing son, and then to not, I mean, only months later have the, I don't know, personal fortitude to not hold it against that driver that they lost their son because of that. So, and they are at every single tournament handing out food for people for free.
Wow, cool.
And just trying to help LT's spirit move on.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love our community.
And I would argue that I hope that, you know, that is an inspiration for you, any lunatic out there, that if you're holding on to some sort of grudge against somebody, if that person can forgive that person, or if those parents can forgive that driver, oh, I think you can probably forgive the person that you're holding on to that grudge to too. Oh.
No doubt.
Oh man.
How you doing?
Good. Oh. Oh. This is definitely the most I've ever talked during the massage, though, right?
Oh yeah.
Where do I sit in terms of your clients in terms of talking?
You're in the middle.
Okay, that's what I figured. I mean, if I didn't know you, if we hadn't been friends for like 20 years,
right,
I'd want to just shut up the whole time. But we do catch up pretty much every time.
Well, and I'm pretty sure nobody would watch this episode.
Should we just go quiet for the last 10 minutes?
Right.
Or
I don't think you're gonna go quiet. We're gonna work on your hamstrings next.
Yeah. So, for that.
And if you want, you can totally scoot down if you wanted to, so you don't have to be face down. You want to like talk to your people? You do what you want.
Yeah, no, we're good.
He's like, no, I don't want anyone to see my face.
No, I'm mostly just sweating because that happens and it's about to happen, and I'm gonna.
So that's the nervous system, right?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk some more
Fight or
science here.
flight.
Yeah.
Your body is doing some sympathetic, like your sympathetic nervous system's activated. You're ready to either run off the table or whatever, but you're sweating and.
So can you, do you know of like the difference between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems? Can you?
The simplest way to teach it is the sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight, and your parasympathetic nervous system is your rest and digest. Okay. So a lot of times what we don't realize is when we have a stressful deadline or we didn't get a lot of sleep or things like that, a lot of times we kind of run more on the sympathetic side without having to run from a bear or,
sure,
you know.
So there's this like persistent underlying stress that's pushing us into fight or flight.
Right.
That it's not strong enough that we're aware of it. Yeah. But if we get triggered by a statue falling or something crazy like that,
right? Or you just
that we might just scream in a cop's face for 25 minutes, or
you had to go there.
I did, yeah. Or call out some guy painting Black Lives Matter on the side of his own house.
Right. So, turns out you're probably more on the your sympathetic nervous system's on overdrive.
Okay.
And you know, we more understand it being triggered, like let's say you get rear-ended and your heart's pounding, you're shaking, you're in shock. That's all your sympathetic nervous system turning on real fast.
Okay.
You know, or you wake up to a house fire or gunshots, whatever, something extreme. That's traditionally what we think of.
Which, maybe you don't want me to say this, but
Laura, all three has happened to me.
That has all happened to Laura, all in recent history, sadly.
What?
So she's quite familiar with all of it.
It is, yeah, I know. I wish I was making it up.
Yeah.
And then you have your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and your digest, and it's when your nervous system can, and that's essentially what massage can do too. So you have some, like we're triggering the sympathetic nervous system, which for me as a massage therapist tells me that I'm gonna lose you pretty soon here. Pretty soon here, your nervous system's gonna shut down on me.
Yeah.
And the massage I do is gonna be not that it's not going to be beneficial, but I'm just not going to get as deep as I probably would like to in the tissue.
Yeah.
And maybe not make as much progress.
But I'll be back next week, and that's when you'll do it.
Yeah, this is why we don't run 3 miles and then sign up for a marathon.
I did that though.
I know. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
But then there is a part of massage where people come in and they try to sleep and they're getting worked on, and the whole point is to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system.
Interesting.
Get them to relax, get them out of that constant stressed state.
Yeah.
And if you're a good therapist, you'll actually see. I mean, I've had, big athletes come in here, and you can just tell that they're already on, like, they're just done.
Yeah.
And you have to do that massage. You have to do we did a little bit of that last week.
Yeah.
You're done. COVID wore you out. Social distancing wore you out. Like, it's just.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, people are on edge. This is a high tension time.
Yeah.
So not a lot of people are coming in for this deep work right now.
When I mean, I'll be honest with you, I feel like I'm already sensing, like, knowing that this is going to be intense. And I'm just going to say, this is going to activate my pathetic nervous system. Which nobody talks
knows about this.
Nobody talks about it, or people don't talk about the pathetic nervous system enough. But that's what all the lunatics might get to experience here at the moment.
Yeah, it's like a new state of woke.
I'm the new mayor of Oakdale.
Right?
Yeah, but I mean, to your point, like, I know when I'm lifting my really, really heavy weights, I can feel that moment where my whole nervous system, like, it's just spent. Like, even if I had the strength, there's like a mental, or there's like an overarching physiological response that, like, my central nervous system, oh god,
do it for your viewers.
Yeah, we're doing it for the likes, lunatics.
We're doing it.
Smash that like button, lunatics. I did do 3 sets of cleans earlier today. Whew.
You're so hard on your body.
Yeah. Well, oh god. Well, the guy who originally taught me to lift, shout out to Julio if you're watching or listening. Julio said something to me that really changed my perspective, because, as you know, I would frequently go to Minnesota Acceleration, which I think is a really good program, and it helps really build up, like, your, like, baseline level of fitness, and a lot of footwork drilling and things like that. But it doesn't focus a ton on a couple of things. One being strength, but the other one being, and Julio taught me this, which I thought was really interesting. But he said, the thing about sports is there's so many people out there, like, training, like, with perfect form, and trying to, like, do these, like, perfect reps, which I think is really great for, like, bodybuilding or, general fitness level. But sports is almost never played with perfect form. Sports is played, like, the unexpected is happening every 10th of a second the entire time you're playing. So actually being tougher on your body and planning for those, like, unexpected, really hard things to happen is a really awesome way to kind of plan for and train for sports. And it's a different mentality for sure. But I've definitely found myself to benefit a lot more from that. Like, who knows, it looks more like a fight in the jungle when you're playing sports than a perfect pull-up.
Do you know who I think is, like, the perfect person to describe that? Is Brett Favre.
Yes.
I think Brett Favre is by far, like, the epitome of that comment, because He literally was the king of
Oh.
herbivore.
Yeah.
And he just had this body that could take it.
Yeah, and you saw him do crazy shit like throw underhanded touchdown passes on a whim.
Right.
And who else like, nobody's done that. Maybe Patrick Mahomes is starting to do some of that stuff because he's throwing left-handed passes,
Right.
improvised, or no-look passes. Oh, yeah.
Right. Oh, no, this is the sports section of your show, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and you have a female co-host that knows sports. Right.
Yeah. Look out, Hot Mike 3. Hot Laura is coming in hot.
That's right.
So can you?
Yes, I can feel that your hamstrings are so tight.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about.
So what I started asking was, can you feel my body temperature rise?
Yes.
Really? Because I feel like I'm emitting heat, like I'm a radiator right now.
You are like soaking the sheets.
Yeah.
But each body adds 4 degrees to a room.
Oh, interesting.
So whatever the temperature of this room was, we just added 8 degrees to it.
Plus
after an hour.
Yeah. Plus whatever I'm doing.
Right. Right. Oh, that's the other thing. Before I forget, the other thing I do is I check my temperature before I come in.
That's awesome.
So that is another big one.
Yeah.
Is checking your temperature. And I always try to encourage clients. I totally forgot to encourage you, but
Yeah. I've been taking my temperature regularly too.
yeah, so that's just it. That's another huge one because I very rarely show. Like if I were to have a fever, I would walk around and never know it.
Yeah.
I'd feel sluggish, and then I'd be like, "What's not? I feel sluggish," and
Yeah.
then.
I mean,
out
I
you're
suspect.
Like 101.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect. I'm kind of in the same category, although it's been interesting because I don't recall ever having the flu in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I only recently learned, and I've talked about this on the show, is that it's estimated that somewhere around 50% of the people who catch the flu never show any symptoms. So
Interesting.
for people who refuse to get the flu shot because they never get the flu,
Right.
what could be happening is you could be getting the flu every year
Right.
and transmitting it to people, not realizing it.
Yikes.
And that
makes you
yeah,
a butt.
that means you're a problem. So, but what's interesting is like the last like 3-4 years, twice now I've had these 1-day mad fevers where I spike like a 101 or 102 degree fever for a day, and then I'm fine the next day. And I can't remember if it's happened twice or 3 times, but
Okay.
I don't know if that's some version of the flu that I'm getting or what's happening, but
I mean, you could have had something wrong too. Like it could be,
right,
whatever it is, it's just trying to kill it off.
right. And it's also interesting because I didn't get a chance to really talk about this in depth on the show, but
Sure.
back in February I had all of the symptoms of COVID, except for the loss of smell.
Wait, that's a symptom?
Yeah. That's starting to be like one of the most common symptoms is you'll have a temporary loss of smell. And but I had a low fever. I had like a 99-degree temperature, and I had a dry cough for a good 2 weeks. And I a couple weeks ago went and got the serology test to see if I had the antibodies, and sadly it came back negative. and I was kind of bummed because I was hoping that I had it in February, uh, and that there was some sort of evidence that I would be immune for a little while, or for a long while. But now it's interesting. I'm only just learning about this, but it's pretty common for your antibodies to actually go away after like 2 to 3 weeks after you've recovered. So
there's a lot of
so you actually
pulse.
need, if you're gonna get the antibody test, you need to get it like shortly after you've had some symptoms.
Sure.
And the way that your body can fight off a viral a virus um, without those without those antibodies is you have these things called memory cells that will then regenerate the antibody cells or the antibodies. And as far as I know, there's currently no test for these memory cells. So, um,
Dude,
yeah, I'm
this
trying.
is like way worse.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Are you?
I am.
Breathe.
So, one thing I've never asked you about.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna in a second.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
This is.
It's been too long. So what happens when I'm face down for a long time like this, and you can hear it?
You're stuffed up.
Yeah. Is that pretty universal, or is it okay?
You have 16 sinus channels.
Yeah.
And it's just all that pressure, all the stuff we're pushing around.
Yeah.
Just all gets stuck in your face.
Yeah. So
Hot.
I've never told you that I had a little bit of a breakthrough 2 summers ago after I saw you one time.
Okay.
So I've been doing some experiments on myself that
Okay.
God.
Good job.
So oh my god. So I get these bags underneath my eyes, and that's not an uncommon problem, but mostly it's genetic. But there's a bunch of environmental things that add up that make it worse. That I think most people are familiar with it. The two biggest ones are you don't get good enough sleep. That one isn't nearly as causal as people think it is.
Okay.
What's far more causal is if you consume a lot of sodium, especially closer to bedtime the previous day.
Okay.
So if you consume, like, occasionally I'll work out really hard and then I'll drink pickle juice.
Yeah.
And then.
God, remember that?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
that was the thing.
Oh, I still do it.
But, like, remember it was, like, all over and you're like, okay,
oh, yeah.
Okay.
You used to be able to buy it in just jars by itself.
Right. It was, like, the thing.
Oh.
We're not that old, but we're old.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for it.
Just so you guys know,
yeah.
He told me before he started recording that he wanted me to go deeper.
Deeper than last time, not deeper.
He said he wanted a deeper massage.
That's true.
He said that.
I did. No, this is exactly what I'm looking for.
Good.
So, just so the listeners know, this is exactly what I want.
This is.
And
he's asking for it.
Yeah, this is very typical.
This is what people come and pay for.
Yep.
To just be annihilated.
Yeah.
Don't call me tomorrow. Call me in 3 days.
Yep. Oh God, I'm gonna feel great tomorrow. Oh god.
Definitely left side more than right.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. So when you're on the platform, just do some.
I need to stretch better. And
You need to stretch better, but
and
really
roll up.
think about distributing that weight straight down the spine.
Yeah.
Really think about what's firing and what's firing first.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll notice that one leg will fire before the other one will.
Oh yeah, and I'm right dominant, so.
Okay. And then a tight leg, I mean, tight muscles can be weak muscles. So if you have a leg that's super dominant doing a lot of the work,
Yeah.
a lot of times that tissue is so broken down that the other leg is doing more work.
Yeah.
That might be why this is all super locked up, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll
have
know in a week.
Yeah, I gotta go test it in the gym.
All right. So to wrap up on my. Oh god.
I know. Sorry.
No, it's good.
What were you saying?
My revelation.
Oh yes. Okay, the bags under your eyes. Yes. Go.
So every time I leave here, the bags under my eyes are just like super puffy.
Right.
And there's a couple things that I always theorized about this. One was that, I mean, there's just fluids pooling on the front of my face.
Sure.
So that's going to happen. And but the other one that I realized is that every time I'm stuffy, the bags under my eyes are worse.
Oh, so it's kind of like a part, yeah.
And what I did one of the times after I left here is I went to Walgreens. I bought some Sudafed.
Okay.
And I just took a 12-hour Sudafed. And I noticed the bags under my eyes went away faster than normal.
Interesting. Do you ever nutty tot?
I haven't done that. Well, I think I did it once like 20 years ago. But that's supposed to clear out your sinuses quickly, right? With saline?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
You should nutty pot on your show.
Okay, we're doing it.
You should nutty pot. Like, we should just do all the things. We should do ear candling.
Okay.
We should do ear candling on your show and get all the wax out of your ears.
Fortune telling.
We could do that. Tarot reading.
Yeah. So, anyway, I just realized that a big part of that is if there's pressure coming from my sinuses, it must be pushing some fluid into the area underneath my eyes.
Okay, well, do you know any ENTs? Ear, nose, and throat?
No.
We gotta get it. Come on. If you're watching, you need
do you know somebody?
No, well, I mean.
All right, lunatics, we're looking for an ENT.
Answer that question for us.
Oh, God.
And if you guys like this, we'll do this next week.
Oh, God. Oh, God. I don't think I'll ever be able to handle that.
What?
What you're just doing. So, what's that tendon that goes, I mean, that's going from like the patella into the groin, right?
Yeah, that's your gracilis.
Okay.
Which is a muscle.
Oh, okay. But that muscle there is the, God, I always forget the name of the like massage with the like, they basically lube up a metal blade.
Okay.
And then they start massaging.
Like the Graston?
Yes, Graston. That Graston massage is like around my kneecap, is about as good as it gets for me.
Yeah. Or and then Graston, you can also look up gua sha.
Okay.
Gua sha is the traditional Chinese medicine.
Okay.
That's pretty rad too.
But I will notice my legs will feel stronger with just a little Graston massaging around those muscles around my kneecap.
Yeah.
Like even like 5 minutes of it.
Because this is all like adipose and fascia.
Yeah.
Like, so to really break that up, because it's a denser fiber.
And yeah.
Like, and it acts differently than this, tissue.
Yeah. And I could feel it. Like, even on a soft foam roller, that, like, what you were doing there, like, if I just run it up and down, just like 2 or 3 inches from my kneecap there, it just crushes it. Oh, God. Oh.
Yes.
Yep.
This is gonna take some work here on this side.
Yep.
Alright. How long have we been going?
We can check here. I need to use my hand. Looks like 70 minutes.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
probably 60. Because I think it started recording before that.
Got it. Alright.
Alright, we wrapped up?
Yeah, we're gonna leave this alone because your nervous system's like super jacked.
I'm covered in sweat. Well, before you walk out, let me just say thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh,
here.
yeah, get in the shot really quick. Sort of. So there's Laura. If people want to get a hold of you, is there a good mechanism to do that?
They can do it. They can email me or send me a message.
All right, we'll leave contact information for Laura in the show notes,
Yes.
and in the comments, hopefully, in case this is the type of, Laura is an expert. She can handle pretty much every massage, but I don't think
we can
most.
do fluffy too.
Yeah, and I don't think most massage therapists can cover what you just did today, though, because you are strong. You know the anatomy, you know the physiology, and you know what, for a little bit of temporary discomfort can add up to a ton of long-term comfort and strength and just general feeling of well-being. So everybody reach out to Laura.
He's got massage talk right now.
Yeah.
Don't listen to him.
That's true.
This is the worst part. Like the plug should have been in the beginning.
Maybe. But
maybe.
Yeah.
Remains to be seen.
In any case, go see Laura for any and everything that you need, including psychotherapy.
Yeah, I'm good for that too.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Laura. And thank you, Lunatics, for enduring the weirdest hotlou happy hour of all time.
Woo!
Talk to you tomorrow.